the dogs in the division, yourself and Errol. Right now, there are those who would think that Terence Crawford is the best fighter in the world. He's probably getting ready to invade welterweight waters. He'll beat Jeff Horn, and then that will give either one of you a situation to really look at. Right now, there seems to be an impasse with certain fighters not being able to fight other fighters. I guess Lou and Steven, this is a question for you too. How difficult would that fight be to make? Because it would definitely be relevant if Terence Crawford were to go and beat Jeff Horn and then become the WBO welterweight champion. I'm sure neither one of you would shy away from that fight. Earl, you've talked about it before, and Keith, I'm sure. What are your thoughts regarding that?
Yeah, he's got a lot of respect for the way he's dominated 140 and the things that he's done with his fights. To me, what really put him on the scene was Gamboa, who really was a smaller guy. Gamboa has a little bit of issues. I'm just gonna say hands down. You like to say man down, but Gamboa has an issue. It's called hands down. Crawford dominated the fight. It was slightly competitive, and then he really just started to take over. And he whacked up a lot of other people, but he ain't whacked up a welterweight yet. You want to talk about making him relevant? He does need to make himself relevant in this division.
We're talking about him, that makes him relevant. Like, I'm not saying he's as good as you, but he's definitely
he's a 140 undisputed champion. When he can come up in this weight division and pretty much fight anybody in the top 10, he deserves that for the most part, and I understand that. But we are so flooded with talent, he is going to have to make himself relevant at 147 before he gets his hands on us for the most part. He's not simply just going to be able to say some names and get the fights that he wants. He's going to have to walk into the division, put a hurting on some dudes, and make himself relevant. That's how I truly feel. And when he is a relevant 147 pounder, if he is a champion, then then we can really look at him and negotiate, because you're saying I know he's high ranked in the pound for pound list and things of that nature. So people think he's the best fighter in the world. Like I said, real talk. A lot of people think they know who the real dog is at 147, but we don't know. We don't know. There's work to be done in this division, and it's a beautiful thing that you guys will get to watch it.
Let's also see when offers start getting thrown around, if they ever get thrown around. Let's see if they're really like come and fight Miguel Cotto, or if they're come and sign and go with a promotional contract with Golden Boy Promotions to fight Miguel Cotto. So let's see if Terence Crawford is, let's fight Terence Crawford, or let's see if it's come and sign with Bob Arum if you want to get a chance to fight Terence Crawford, because those are two very different things.
Quick question for Errol.
Just be the last question, then we're going to have Deontay Wilder's going to come down. We'll let the welterweights.
Errol, so we're here tonight to your left. Heck of a lineup of 155.
Thank you. Somebody, that's my question.
Champions tonight. Do you have a timeline in your mind if a fight with Keith for some reason can't get made, let's say in the next 9 to 12 months, that you would say you're going to go to 154 and take on some of those big guys there?
I said that before, but 147 needs to be cleaned out first before it's a jump at 154. If it's the right opportunity and I can fight for a title at 154, I may consider it. I have no problem making 154. So, but right now, my whole focus is on the 147 division. It's a lot of great fighters, a lot of great names, and I feel like, my legacy, can be solidified with dominating the 147 division and being the undisputed welterweight champion of the world. So I got to put 100% focus in that first before I move up and try to conquer another weight class.
Question for Errol and Keith. We have 3 great fights here tonight. What are your thoughts on the 3 fights?
I think the Jermell Charlo and the Lubin fight, that's the fight everybody's been talking about. You got the young, hungry guy, just like I was, young, hungry, think he can conquer the world. He's coming in to take the title. You got Jermell, he's young too, but he has a lot of experience. He's like 29 fought a lot of good veterans. And, Jermell's a big guy. Me personally, I'm in camp with Jermell. We had the same coach. We've been in camp with him for 8 weeks. He's looking sharp. He's looking great. Iron sharper than iron. So I see Jermell pulling it out with Austin Trout and Hurd. I feel like that can go either way. Austin Trout very slick, very cagey. He's a veteran. Hurd's slick too, but I feel like Austin Trout has the edge in that. That can go either way. And with Terrell and Lara, rocking with my Olympic brother. That's my Olympic brother. That's the guy that I grew up with through the amateurs. We just stay in the same dorm room, and so that's the guy I used to grind with 24/7. Before I was a professional. So that's the guy I'm rocking with. Hopefully he can win this title, become another Olympic brother who won a world title from that 2012 class.
Tonight is really a triple hitter. We got some great fights lined up tonight. The Trout fight, like to see Trout, come back and put a nice performance on, but it's not just a gimme fight. This boy has been facing people and making some upsets, and he's been on a nice little run, and he's trying to make a statement in a great division right now. So I'm looking forward to that bout. My boy Lubin, Florida boy, I remember seeing him in the state tournaments just dominating, reminded me of myself a little bit. He's moved kind of quickly, depending on how this fight goes. Some might say that he could have took a little bit more time, but him and his team, they feel ready. They've been working hard. Like Errol said, the boy is hungry, young and hungry. That dream of being a champion, it's here tonight. I know exactly what that emotion feels like. And I look forward to a great performance from both fighters. The Charlos, I remember them boys back in the day, and they've come a long way too, man. The way they've been boxing, the people they've been working with. You get to see just real young fighters going toe to toe in their prime, great athletes. So for me, it's a pick'em fight. I'll be happy to see another belt touch the Sunshine State. But if Charlo wins, congratulations to him as well, man. This fight game, we fight, with our hearts, with a passion. We don't want to lay down for nobody. So I look forward to the fights tonight, but I'm definitely most interested in the co-main event. When it comes to the main event, we all know Lara to be a very skilled, crafty, almost veteran status, maybe not quite veteran status, but almost. He's been in with a lot of great champions, so he's definitely the vet in the matchup. He's the veteran fighter. So we'll see what the young hungry man wants to do tonight, and we'll see what kind of boxing we get when it comes to this main event. But I'm here, as a spectator like everybody else, and I'm just gonna enjoy round by round.
One last quick one.
Keith, you've admirably been or handled being kind of the face of free boxing. Very articulate. I think you've done a lot to raise the perception of fighters. And I know you're very mindful of everything in the boxing business. You get to that stage of your career, is it something that you like to move away from the free boxing and kind of get into that pay-per-view realm? If we have big fights out there, such as you and EJ, or whatever leads up to that, is that something that would be important to you personally to get into that part of boxing?
They always say whatever makes money makes sense. There's a reason why every single fight there's a brand new contract. There's a reason why we like being free agents, is because we can negotiate anything. Okay, we can negotiate anything. I can negotiate fighting at your mama's house. You know what I'm saying? And just get a crowd of people and make them pay for it. Whatever. I'm a prize fighter. Okay, but obviously, I enjoy it, to be honest. I think it's a very special thing to have free boxing. I've said it many times. As a spectator in America, we are spoiled when it comes to watching sports. You got soccer, baseball, basketball, tennis, hockey, NASCAR, whatever it is, man. You got the best in the world competing, and you normally don't have to pay. So to ask the American public to come out of pocket, you know, I guess I'll say there is a time and a place. There is. But right now, financially, we're satisfied with what has been happening. And it's a beautiful thing knowing that 5.5 million people watched me face Danny Garcia. We put it on pay-per-view, and then you got 1.2 million. You know, can I make more money? What's the deal? You know, I'm a very humble person, man. I don't come from much. So, you know, the reason why back in the day fighters would take fights and Don King would make all this money behind the scenes was because when they offered the fighter $2 million, that fighter's never seen $2 million, okay? And I remember something that Ben Getty used to say, you know, you don't worry about what the opponent's making. All that you need to do is be satisfied with what you're making, you know? And I've been that throughout my whole career. I've been satisfied. So I guess I just don't have a greedy mindset. I just enjoy living the life that I have. My life might not be here tomorrow. That's real talk. We take life for granted and a lot of things for granted. But knowing that 5.5 million people get to see my fight, knowing that it's on free network television, there's a lot of young children. Okay, we get to influence the youth and let people see boxing again. There's a lot of talented young people who might not be basketball players, might not be football players, and just knowing that I can inspire them to join the sport of boxing also brings a warmth to my heart and makes me happy knowing that I'm doing something positive in the sport that I love. So like I said, there's a time and place for pay-per-view. If it makes dollars, it makes sense. If it's a really big fight, it can make sense. But I'm open up for negotiation, and I won't say no to anything, but right now I'm satisfied with the way that my career has been going.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you, Errol. By the way, both of these guys, if you look at his fight with Danny and Errol's fight with Bundu, those were two of the most widely viewed fights in a generation. So there is something to be said for free TV. We're going to move on with Deontay Wilder now. I wish both of these